Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Welcome back, guys. Once again, another day, another podcast. And I'm your host, Hussein Mohamed. Today we don't have our co-host, Ali. He's busy with family and there's a lot of things happening with him. So, alhamdulillah. Hopefully he frees up very soon, inshallah. But today we have our brother, Hamza Abdi, who is a software tester, automation tester. Another tester. We've got another tester now. And alhamdulillah, mashallah, he works for Google, so quite a big achievement. And he's got a really amazing story to share, like his journey, where he came from. How long have you been testing now?
Now, about 4.5 years.
4.5 years, mashallah. Look at that. 4.5 years and you're working at Google. Allah Mubarak. But go ahead, Akhi, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself and
Okay.
share whatever you can with us.
So as you kind of touched on, I kind of started off, I'll probably touch upon kind of what I studied at uni, kind of start from there probably. So graduated with a business economics degree, kind of in the middle of the recession. So
when is this, 2008-ish?
Yeah, 2008-ish.
Wow.
So obviously at that time, kind of, you couldn't really, a lot of people, the financial meltdown and stuff like that. I'm trying to get into a career within the finance industry. Nothing's really happening. People are kind of like losing their jobs. I'm there trying to contact recruiters, trying to get in. People are losing their jobs and stuff like that. So at the same time, I was working in retail while I was kind of studying through university at the same time, just kind of as a, what do you want to call it, like a sales associate, kind of within the mobile phone industry.
Okay.
So selling phones and stuff like that.
Phones for you and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those kind of industries. And
Inshallah, you were doing well for yourself while you were at uni, you were working for phones for you.
No, it was at Free Mobile.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 3 Mobile. So it was kind of just something. It's one of those jobs. It was. I'll probably say it was the best job at uni. Kind of.
You know, that's what I mean. It's quite a pretty job.
Yeah.
Pretty good job.
Yeah.
For university students, man.
Getting.
Usually, I remember you had to be like full-time employee to be able to work there, no?
Yeah, nah. So lucky enough, I was doing 16 hours, getting the kind of salary that you potentially maybe work in other retail jobs as full-time, because it was very commission-based, heavily commission incentivized.
Oh, okay.
So it was, alhamdulillah, kind of got me through uni and stuff like that. So whilst that was happening, graduated, couldn't get into anywhere, literally knocking on any industry, trying to get my foot through the door, nothing's happening. And that's when I realized, I thought to myself, you know what, this looks like it's going to be a couple of years. These industries are shut down, let them recover. So I thought, you know what, let me try and progress through that industry and kind of see how it goes. So I kind of progressed from like a salesperson then to assistant manager and then store manager.
Mashallah.
So again, over the space of, I'll probably say about 3 years, give or take, at the time.
Within 3 years, you became
I'll probably say once I graduated, about 3 years, 3 and a bit years, I became a store manager. And then kind of stayed within that industry. It was comfortable, to be honest with you. You know, sometimes when you get your foot through your company and kind of progress, you don't really want to kind of look around. You're just comfortable in your lane. So I was kind of like very, very comfortable in my lane. Kind of getting commission and stuff like that. It was pretty easy to an extent. And then I think how I came across testing was you had Abdurrahman last week on a few weeks ago.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Another
tester and another friend of ours called Mohamed. So he's the guy that introduced me to testing. So whilst I was kind of in that industry, he was like, bro, I've got this thing here, it's testing. I know a guy that's in there already. There's a lot of, he can make a lot of money within this industry. It seems like it's pretty straightforward. What do you think? I was like, bro, man, I'm comfortable. I'm just relaxed here, man.
I'm living the life.
I'm chilling. But I was intrigued. So I asked him, like, who's this guy that's told you about this industry? Like, I've never heard of this industry, testing or anything like that. So it was one Nigerian guy that he used to go university together with.
Abdurrahman?
No, Hamid.
Oh, okay.
So they used to go university together, and this guy, apparently he graduated, done well, but he got a first class degree and he graduated around the same time. So he's around the time of the recession, so he couldn't get a job.
Same peak.
Yeah, same thing. So he's working as a ticket inspector at this time.
Mashallah.
So he's just kind of slapping on those, pounding those payments.
Those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys.
And then one day he came across another Nigerian guy driving a decent kind of car. It was like, it's like some sort of pursuit of happiness or something. Like, what we did, like, what you do? Like, what's your job? And he told him, I'm a test engineer. I do testing. So Ninky goes, okay, so you're a tester. So what does that entail? So he told him a bit about it. I just test products and stuff like that. He goes, how do I get into this industry? He goes to him, I studied from a guy in India. And I paid him. I got a course. So anyway, Ninky, that guy went, studied, got a course, and eventually got in.
Mashallah.
So then that's when Mahmoud found out about this testing thing, and he's telling me about it. So this guy now has become a teacher.
So the ticket inspector
became a teacher, and he's within the industry, and he's charging people for courses.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
So he told me about it, and I was like I said, I'm comfortable. I'm not really interested. So anyway, he went ahead with it, was doing the course and stuff like that, and then coming back to me, I was still still doing my job and stuff like that, but it got a bit mundane. It got a bit kind of, when you're within retail, kind of working in that industry, it's like you're working you're not working Monday to Friday. Sometimes you got to work weekends and stuff like that. So it gets a bit tiring. So then that's when and commission, they start your KPI essentially. So within these sales industries, you're only as good as your last month. So if you can be hitting your targets for 11 months, smashing it. 1 month you miss your target, it's like all hell's kind of broke loose. And when you're managing people, I was looking at something like a job where I didn't really need to rely on other people to kind of my success to be.
Okay.
So within sales, if you're a sales manager, your performance depends on other people, your team and stuff like that. So, but I learned a lot from that kind of like, a lot of that kind of like soft skills and stuff like that. So
Well, I never even take that into account. Like, as a manager, you are as in what your team is. So you are as bad as your weakest link at that point.
You are as bad as your
If
weakest
your
link.
money depends on, especially in sales, if the commission depends upon your team hitting the target and one man is slacking.
Mate, I felt like a full-time counsellor. I'm not gonna lie to you. So it was like, it's one of them ones like.
Retail can be difficult, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
You got to do it props, man.
You got somebody that's not performing. He'll come to you. You're asking like, what's the matter? What's going on, mate? He'll tell you, I got family problems, and then obviously you need to. You in your mind as a manager, you like, bro, I need to get you to perform. So I'm like, listen, your situation could be 10 times worse. Imagine you don't have a job. Like, that's gonna burden you. Come on, man. Let's leave that problems at the door and go from there. Like, you have some women that got partner dramas, baby father dramas. You're managing.
Wow.
So yeah, so I felt like a counsellor. So I was like, nah, man, this is too much, man. I might as well just become a full-time therapist.
You start needing counselling.
I'll start needing counselling myself.
Madness. Yeah, go on.
So coming back to it, where was I at? I lost my kind of thought process.
The person, so the ticket inspector got a job and he was teaching. You were still working, it became mundane for you.
Exactly. So then Mahmoud and what's it called, Abdurrahman, they were kind of Mahmoud, obviously he told him about it. They kind of pursued it, went into it, and kind of were doing a bit of studying and stuff like that. So one day I kind of reached out to them. I was like, I touched base with him. I go, like, how's the studying going and stuff like that. He goes, I'm just going through a few interviews. I've not got through the door yet. So I was like, cool. So maybe it's not the one day, man. Let me look at other things. And then one day he told me I got a job. And then I was like, yeah, did you get in? He was like, yeah, I got in. I was like, okay, so this can be done.
Mashallah.
So I said, mashallah, this can be done. So then that's when I was like, you know, one of them ones. So that was I'll probably say the biggest inspiration in terms of getting into the industry, when you know somebody that's not in the industry, that's kind of got a job and that's got in. So he was like, I was like, yeah, definitely, this can be done. So then I met up with the brothers. I was like, listen, like, okay, so what do I need to do? They kind of explained it to me. They gave me the kind of information. And then he was going to the British Library at the time to study. So I was like, I'm working, man. How do I study in the evenings? What do I do? So then I just came up with a plan. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take time off work. I'm going to say to them, something's come up. Listen, I need some time off. So I ended up taking like, I'll probably say 6 months off. So during those 6 months, literally I treated it as a job. We went to 6 months, man.
Mashallah, he was committed, man.
Yeah. I was like, listen, it's now or never, man. Go in or leave it. So when I was traveling every day to the British Library, I was meeting up with them in the library, and we treated it as a study. So literally we treated it as a full-time job.
It's like going back to university.
Going back to uni, 9 to 6, 1 hour, one hour break, lunch break, and then back at it in those quiet rooms. So me and him and the other brother Harid were all there kind of studying. I see obviously they're ahead of me. They're at the stage where they're doing kind of they're memorizing interview questions and stuff like that. So and it was good. Essentially, I had people that I can ask questions with. Okay, what does regression testing mean? The guy's talking about this. How important is this? Should I focus on this? So they were kind of guiding me as well at the same time. So whilst that was happening, he's going out. Like I'm hearing his phone ringing. He's going out taking phone interviews, coming back in. So I'm like, yeah, well, this thing can be done.
This can be done. You can see like 2 examples in front of your eyes.
Yeah, 2 examples in front of my eyes. So eventually, how I got in was. Me and him, one day it was me and him in the library together, and then he's going to these kind of like networking things, like these meetups.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't know about these things, so I thought he goes to me, come, like there's all this about testing and stuff, like we learn some stuff. I was like, you know what, bro, I'm not even dressed correctly. Like I was thinking like, I need to be suited and sight like that. You know what it was?
T-shirts and
yeah, bro. I'm telling you, I didn't know that. Half these developers look homeless, man. When I think about it now, if they sat down. They would have for his stand. Begging, I'll give them a little change. Yeah, so I was like, you got that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, you sure? He was like, nah, just come, man. So anyway, we went there. So our plan was, we had a strategic plan. We're gonna split up and kind of consume as many people, like gather as much information as possible. So I think on the day, what they did was they all the testers, all the people that were there, they were like, who's testers, who's a manager or anything like that. So I think my plan was, whoever's a manager. Yeah. I'm gonna try and network with them. So I saw this. I ended up being in this group of, I think there was 5 of us, and then there was one guy that was a manager. There was 2 guys and a girl. They were kind of like, when you're introducing each other, one was like, yeah, I'm just a normal tester. I've only got like 4 months industry experience. I was like, nah, I think come Bani. You can't bring me in. And then there was that guy there. His name was Toby. So I was like, he was like, I'm a manager, test manager at startup. So I was like, yeah, that's the guy I need to network with. Lincoln, I need to.
Mashallah, you clocked again, man.
Yeah. I need to speak to this guy here, man. So I was like, let me use my sales skills. So Lincoln, I spoke to him. He goes, what do you do? I go, listen, mate, I just quit my job. Just to pursue a career in testing. But then I was like, listen, I wanna see what the journey looks like, the software development journey looks like to the end user. I'm part of the end user. I want to see what the beginning part looks like. All of that I'm interested in. I work within mobiles, so I want to get into mobile testing. So he was like, yeah. So I'm a kid up there. He goes to me, do you have LinkedIn? I remember I created my LinkedIn account a week ago. So a week ago, what I was doing is I created a LinkedIn account and I started adding test recruiters. So I just Google, you got the search thing there.
Yeah.
Any test recruiter, add. I was just adding them, connecting them. So it's like I'm looking up there. He goes to me, oh, you've got a LinkedIn profile. I go, yeah. Gave him my email, gave him my details, and then I thought I just left it there. Okay. So I said, Lincoln, let's see what happens in it. So I think it must have been about a week, 2 weeks. I didn't hear nothing, and it was trying kind of at that time. 2 weeks before that, I quit my job. I was like, after 6 months, I was like, listen, if I go back into that industry, into retail, it's gonna suck me in. I want to get comfortable. Like I want to get comfortable. I thought, you know what? Sometimes, if you go cold, like when you have nothing, the only way is that way.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're gonna go. So I quit my job.
Like you burn your bridges.
I burnt my bridge there. Quit my job. I was like, this is the only way. Yeah. And then after about 2 weeks, I said, you know what, that's a bit of a hasty decision, I was like, you got a family, man, it's a bit of a hasty one.
So you had a family at that point as well?
Yeah.
Any kids?
Yeah, I had kids, man, at that time, man. So
that's a heavy decision you made, man.
It was a heavy decision. So then I said, you know what, let me find another sales job that's Monday to Friday. And then that way I can still do my evening studying. Like, it's just like I'm relying on myself. So I went for an interview for that role, and then after I went for that interview for that role, I ended up some normal other kind of like sales job, just to kind of.
It was a sales job.
It
wasn't the guy that took it.
Nah. It was kind of like after 2 weeks, I realized that I made a bit of a hasty decision. Let me just find something just to keep me ticking over. So I ended up getting that job, And then as I was walking, I got an email from that guy, Toby. So he came back to me, was like, yep, would like to take you on. And I was like, okay. So I'm thinking, like, I'm just trying to scroll to the bottom, like, what's the salary? What's the money? And then I read, he goes to me, 2 weeks working for free. And then you're going to start on 16.5K.
Oof.
I was like, whoa.
My teenager,
damn.
That is mad.
I was like, that's a hit.
That's a start. Start is like.
I said, that is a hit, yeah, CD. I was like, and I got this other job that's offering like 3 times more that. So I was like, what do I do now? So then obviously I went back to the brothers.
Yeah. Okay, you got the click there.
I went back to the brothers. I was like, listen, I've got the testing situation here.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they're offering. I've got this here. And then they were like, you know what? You can get another sales job anytime, which is true. Yeah. I reckon I can walk into it. So then anyway, I made the decision. I was like, you know what? Let's go. Do or die. Let's go. Then I link and I got it. And anybody that's kind of worked in a startup will tell you it's probably the best place to start your career, due to the fact that they give you, there's no structure. They give you, it's like you're doing firefighting. You get exposed to so many things at the same time. As a tester, as a developer, as a BA, you've got so many hats on. So essentially, it was like I was there for like a year and a bit. So I started off. On 16. Was it 16 and a half?
16 and a half.
I was like, listen, man, honey, it's like this is taking a mix.
What year is this?
This was 2016.
2016. So that's what I mean. It's not even inflation.
2016. But obviously it's a startup. So they're like, that's. I was like, listen, because I gave it a big speech. I was like, I don't care. To that Toby guy, I was like, I don't care about money.
Oh.
So I wanted to get as a salesman, I wanted to get my foot through the door. I thought they're gonna
mistake number one.
Yeah. They're gonna come back with something. But that's what happened. So then I was like, you know what? I said to him when I took it, I said, after 6 months, me and you we're gonna do a bit of negotiation. So I ended up, alhamdulillah, during that period, like within the space of a year and a bit, I ended up getting 3 different pay rises through there. So alhamdulillah, after by the time I was leaving, I was comfortable.
Started hitting the
I started
basically basic sales money.
Yeah. So I was at a decent kind of like respectable kind of. So then it got to a stage I was there for a year and a bit, and I was like, you know what? I learned everything I needed to from here. It's either you're earning. I got a little motive, like it's either you're earning or you're learning. So I learned everything I needed to do. I started looking. So then LinkedIn, you have to up your LinkedIn game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So whenever I'm starting to look for a new job, I get the gold LinkedIn. The premium. You pay for the premium.
Money.
You pay the little £20, man. Yeah.
Inshallah.
So alhamdulillah, after that, I ended up at a different company called the App Business. So essentially, it's a consultancy-based business.
Okay.
So what they do is they go, like, they work for, like, they get different projects. So for example, the project I worked on was for building the B&Q app, the Tesco app, so all of that kind of stuff. So we're as a team, we go in there, one tester, a few developers, and we build those applications for them. So again, it's one of those things. It's like similar to like a startup. You get loads of projects under your belt very, very quickly. So I think I've done 3 big projects on there at the same time within the space of a year. Okay. And then I looked at updated the LinkedIn profile again. slapped on Makana, alhamdulillah, slapped on the premium, started looking again. So now after that, I was a bit more strategic, because during that period I'm doing kind of like manual testing. So I wanted to kind of go on to another level of testing, which is automation. So starting doing a bit of coding and stuff like that, and being able to automate your work. So using a scripted language, Java, Python, whatever it may be, to kind of automate your work. And that's kind of the next level in terms of pay salaries structure. So I was kind of strategically looking at kind of companies or role that would allow me to kind of learn on the job and be able to do that.
Okay.
So alhamdulillah, afterwards came across a company called The Collective. They're essentially like a property-based kind of company that they own properties and buildings and stuff like that. And we built a mobile application that allows people within the building to be able to kind of, you get a profile essentially. So it's like a Facebook within a community. So people within the building can see, oh, okay, if I'm looking for somebody that's an engineer. Oh, let me see who's in the building, who's got that kind of qualification. So they're very, very unique, very, very unique within their field. They're a market leader within their field. So I was there up until, again, I was there coming up to a year. So everything's going well. I'm learning my kind of automation, learning my scripting. Shagadi, I'm enjoying it. And then, bang, COVID hits. Yeah. So then COVID hits. So then they put me on furlough.
The collective people?
The collective people, yeah, that company. They put me on furlough. So
how long was you working for them before they put you on furlough? Did you get anything out of it, basically?
Yeah, I got out of it in terms of what I wanted, in terms of the automation, what I wanted to learn and stuff like that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So I got that out of it. So things were going well. And then obviously COVID came. They put me on furlough in April last year. Yeah. April 2020.
Oh, that's early, bro.
Yeah. They weren't, because they got hit because they're a property company. So a lot of people, there was no flats. A lot of their people depending on people coming from other countries and stuff like that. Yeah. And what they did was they slashed costs for people in terms of rent and stuff like that they were paying in order to keep the business afloat. So at the end of the day, they're smart people.
Yeah.
If the government is gonna pay for your,
they didn't make you redundant. They just offloaded the payment to
they offloaded the payment to the government, but. I was like, when I first went on furlough, I was like, you know what? It's been a long time since I had a kind of a bit of a break. So, but then you get 80%.
Yeah.
And then if you're above a certain threshold, it was a bit of a hit.
Sure.
So and then I looked at, I thought maybe are they gonna bring me back in? Nothing was kind of happening. So then that's when I started kind of like looking for a different role. So whilst I was started looking for a different role, that's when I came across the Google role.
Okay.
At my current role that I'm working in at the moment, but it was an interesting one. So what I did was, for that role, is I came across it. I didn't know it was Google, so it just said it was a Android testing role.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously Google's Android.
So when you applied for it, you didn't know it was
Google? I didn't know it was Google.
Oh, okay.
So I applied for it, and then when I applied for it, I remember it was through CW Jobs. Yeah, so I applied for it, and what I always do whenever I apply for a role is I always call up the recruiter. So obviously on the job spec online, it always shows you what the recruitment company is and who's handling that. So I called up the recruitment company. I was like, it was in the afternoon, kept on going voicemail, left a message, didn't get back to me, and then I was out and about doing shopping, and then it went through. So I got DI. And then I said to her, yeah, I just applied for this testing role for Android tester on a greenfield project. I just wanted to say I think I'm the ideal candidate for the role. If you want to have a look at my CV. So I always kind of want to put that kind of personal touch, because you've got all these candidates that are applying for a role. Yeah. So you need to
let them remember you.
Let them remember you. Leave a little bit of a lasting kind of little bit of an impression. So I thought, okay. I spoke to her, and then she goes, I can't see your application. I go, no, definitely applied. And then she goes to me, you know what? I've got it, but it says you're a store manager. I was like, no. So I had to explain to her, listen, I'm a tester. I am this tester. I've been in the industry for what, 3 and a bit years. I've got this kind of experience. So she knew I knew what I was talking about. And I was like, you know what? It must, because I never applied through CW Jobs. So you must have my old CV there. So then she was like, you know what, send me an updated CV. I sent it, and then alhamdulillah, went for a, had a phone interview, had 2-stage phone interview. So one was half an hour with the recruitment company, just kind of making sure that I know what I'm doing and stuff like that. For a little bit of formalities, and then afterwards I had an hour and a half interview. But then obviously when I found, the recruiter goes to me, she told me the company you're applying for is Google.
Oh, okay. So at that point, when they said we're gonna put you forward.
Yeah, we're gonna put you forward. You've got you've got enough experience. You've got a load of mobile projects and stuff like that. You seem like an ideal fit. So it was an hour. Yeah, it was an hour and a half interview, and then came back to me. I believe the next day, said to me that I've got the job.
MashaAllah, Google. That's simple. Because usually they kill you, man. I don't know why they got easy on testers, but apparently the hiring process is quite difficult, especially for devs.
Yeah,
but
for me, because I've got a fixed term contract, so I've got it's a 1 year contract.
Oh, okay.
So I'm contracted in for a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so maybe that's what I think for contractors. I think again, it was a difficult interview, but I think if you're perm, like compared to like my previous role, at the collective, I had I think an hour first interview with one tester, and afterwards I had a 2.5 hour interview with a project manager, the CTO.
Was your panel was like one after the other?
No. So it was first 1 week I had a phone interview.
Yeah,
and
I mean, you know, the 2.5 hours. Was it continuously 2.5 hours?
It was continuously 2.5 hours. I had a little drink, and then that's it. It was literally 2.5 hours. It didn't feel that long, but it was like kind of like it felt like a conversation. You know, when an interview, it's like a conversation.
Yeah.
You have to. I think it's like dark arts of interviews.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to learn that. So whenever you have an interview, you can't let they ask you a question, then about something, and you want to lead them on to another follow-on question. So you stop there, and you know that they're gonna ask you, okay, what about this situation, X, Y, Z.
No,
so
that's what I mean. Interviewing is a skill. Man.
It's a skill. It's a skill. Yeah, it's a skill, and you have to fail at it to understand where you went wrong. Yeah. And then once you kind of understand like the dark arts of it, I call it the dark arts of interviews, then it helps you.
That's a crazy journey, man. Going from a store manager, counseling people, to ending up in Google within 4 years period, man. MashaAllah, it's really good, man. It's really good. What would you say like kind of helped you firstly to get your first role, like because you know, how did you manage to convince that? Was it Toby the person's name?
Yeah, Toby.
What do you think that you said to him made him think, okay, let me ask this person to join us instead of all of the other people that are there? I'm pretty sure other people.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was more to do with the fact that I said to him, listen, I've quit my role to pursue this career. So when someone says to you, like, I had money in one role, I was comfortable within that industry, successful within that industry, and I'm willing to give that up to start from the bottom here. That's how passionate I am about this industry. You'd want to kind of take that person on because that individual kind of is showing that passion, the drive to be kind of like successful within that. But it was a tough journey. It was, at the end of the day, it's like with everything, people might look at it as though, okay, you've gone from that to that, but it took some.
True, because most people will just look at the end result and forget that there's a process to it. They forget there's a system in place. There's things that happen in the background that people don't see. Yeah, but they think, oh, he got there, he must have been easy. Let me give it a go as well. I always give it a go, but let's believe that once you go through that journey, then you're gonna feel some pain.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna feel some pain, man. I think the most like you're gonna feel financial pain. You're gonna feel kind of like the pain of like, you know what, like my idea of within the tech industry, you know, when you're growing up, like was about see those coders, those geeky coders, and then you see all those scripted codes, so running through the line with the fake term and
fake hackers,
fake hackers and stuff like that. That was my image of kind of the IT industry. But wallahi, since I've come into it, it's the most comfortable, relaxing like industry that I've kind of come across. Like compared to like putting out fires in retail, dealing with customers, dealing with other managers, area managers, and all that kind of stuff. I think personally, it's a lot more easier. Yeah. I think kind of, you know, when you've got those battle scars from elsewhere, and you come into something else, you're like, you know what, like I'm sitting at a desk, I'm taking 2-hour breaks for coffee, I'm going into 2-hour meetings and stuff like that. It's different, but the only thing is it's got hard work. So you need to be able to. One thing within the tech industry, it doesn't stand still. So there's always a new tech stack that's coming out. There's always a new buzz tool that's being used. So you always need to be kind of have your pulse on the market and know what's happening and kind of like the way I look at it, like if there's the next role that I'm going to be applying for, I look at what's it called, the job spec for those roles. So I look at the job spec. Okay, cool. If I want to move into like a mobile automation role, I know they use APM or something like that. I will kind of look into that tool, try and learn that tool, and then knowing the fact that if I go to a recruiter or go to an interview, I'll be able to talk about that tool. I might not necessarily know it inside out, but my job is to try and convince you that I know that tool.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Sales.
It's sales. Yeah. You sell yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important thing, is having that belief within yourself to be able to kind of go into any role or any interview and take control of the situation.
Oh, mashallah, it's very good. I can see that, mashallah, you're quite proactive and like measured. Would you call it measured in how you've, because like you spent a year and a half with one company, another company you spent another year with. Like it looks like there was a method that you were following. Is there a specific thing you're looking for when you want to go for your next role? As in how you plan your career path?
For me, kind of the way I kind of planned it is if I'm in the role that I'm in, the next role that I'm looking at, obviously you want to pay rise. That's at the end of the day, that's what we go to work for. So you know what I mean. So I'm looking at the next role, and I'm looking at, okay, do I have enough skills for that next role? It could be an extra 15k, it could be an extra something, whatever. So I look at okay, that CV, it's got that in there. Tick, I can do that. Tick, I can do that. Now my job is to try and convince you that I'm the right candidate. So a lot of people, I think, salary negotiation, I think is something that a lot of people kind of don't know how to kind of negotiate. I think with recruiters, and I didn't know that to start off with. So you know, when a recruiter contacts you, you automatically give your current salary.
Yeah, yeah. Well, share your experience.
Yeah. So
I think we've all been in that situation, because you have to, just like any other thing, like it's with practice that you get thingy.
Exactly.
It's their job to get this information out of you, and it's your job to.
So I'm coming. So the previous to that, obviously, where I worked in one company. So that company there, HR, my previous company, retail, HR know what my salary is on.
Yeah.
So obviously, I can't tell them I'm on that and lie. Yeah. So I originally had a couple of recruiters contacting me. Okay, what's your salary? I'm on that. Okay, we're gonna offer you an additional 3k pay rise. So then I'm thinking about, I'm comfortable here in this current role. I know the people that I'm working with. The location, the projects, all of that kind of stuff. For an extra 3k, that headache is not worth it to me. So then that's when I thought to myself, you know what? Let me automatically, whatever salary I'm on, automatically put an extra additional 15% or 10% or whatever it might be on top of your current salary.
Okay.
And then that's where you kind of negotiate, and then you see that salary. It's down to you to convince them that you're worth it at the end of the day. So that's why I kind of jumped around through a few companies, because when you go from one company to another company, especially during your early days, that's when you get a big salary increase. Because you can get, moving from one company to another, you can get an additional 20%, 15% and so forth, and it adds up.
Yeah.
Rather than when you're at a specific role within a specific company, they'll probably offer you a 5% increase or 2% increase.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm pretty interested in, you said that in your first role, you managed to get 3 salary increases.
Yeah.
What was your method in that? Because that's like, in the space of a year and a half, that's like, you've done really well there. Because usually companies will bat you off by saying, oh no, we have yearly reviews and that's the only time we can do this. So within a space of, it's like 6 months, it's like every 6 months you will get a pay, right?
Yeah. So what I did was with that was, Toby, when I first, obviously he came back to me with that offer, said to me,
crazy 16.
Yeah. So I was like, listen, okay, let's after 6 months, because I was reporting into him. So I was like, after 6 months, me and you, we need to sit down and look at it. So I smashed it during that period. So I was doing well on whatever the projects that I was on and stuff. And then we had a new person join, a head of engineering. So he then became my line manager. So Toby wasn't necessarily my line manager. So now he became
your line manager, basically.
Yeah. So he became my line manager.
And Toby became your peer?
He became my peer.
Oh, okay.
He became my peer. So we were both reporting to the head of engineering now.
Oh, okay.
So then I was like, listen, you can shake any of the motor guy. I'm gonna say to him in our 1-to-1, I've got an agreement with Toby. One of the conditions I joined was after 6 months I need to have a salary. This is the salary I'm working with. I'm having recruiters contacted me telling me this is what's on offer. So
Mashallah. So you've taken basically a situation that managed to just occur outside of your control.
Yeah.
And spun it for your
I
own
spun it 360 into my own benefit.
Mashallah.
So I was like, listen, you need to kind of sort me out now. So then he kind of he gave me a pay rise, and then obviously after that comes, and I said to him, okay, once I get this pay rise, when is my next pay rise? He goes, it's going to be a year from now. So I said to him, how's that possible? So you, after you give me a 6 month pay rise, you're telling me I'm gonna have to wait another year? I said to him, listen, this is a prior agreement that me and Toby had.
Yeah.
So I need my annual pay rise as well.
Oh.
So then I got my annual pay rise.
Okay.
So I got my annual pay rise off of him, and then 6 months later, I had an offer from another job, another company. When I said, this is the offer that I've got at the moment. Talk to me, otherwise I'm gonna walk. And then
boom,
another one. So then at that time, that's when I thought, okay, I can either stay here, I'm very comfortable here, and I see, you know what, this is not what I got into this industry for. I got into this industry to kind of progress. The role, that your ideal goal is contracting. So I want to get into contracting as a tester. So I don't want to get comfortable here. I've learned everything I needed to learn. Let me move. So then that's when I moved in towards the other company.
Okay.
So it's always been calculated.
Mashallah. So because mashallah, for someone, maybe because you come from like a managerial background, so you're quite methodical in your way of traversing these kind of things. Because when I first started, I was like as green as you can be, man. I was a greenfield project myself. Yeah, so I've just sticked to the same company for 5 years, and boy, did I suffer. Just waiting for to be promoted through the channels, which is like the biggest mistake you can make.
But even when you get promoted through the it's only when you're,
that's what I mean.
It's only when you change your job title. So for example, if you're a normal tester and you become a senior tester, that's when does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if you're just there
Exactly.
annually, sometimes annually you might not even get a pay rise. I know some people that were in that startup that didn't get a pay rise for 2 years. I'm like, what are you still doing here?
Yeah, subhanallah.
So
because a lot of people don't think like that. It's like I'm waiting for them to tell me what to do. You're not proactive with your career to go look. Because even though with me I was very proactive, it's just that nothing was hitting. I wasn't getting rolled outside. I had like 1 or 2 offers, but it was like a shift work, and I didn't want to do it because the place I was working was very cushy, man. 35 days holiday. Enjoy yourself type of thing, because it was a college, so you're enjoying.
You got the summer holidays off as well.
Mate, no, it wasn't. I didn't have the summer holidays off.
But
I've got 6 weeks of holidays as compared to people that were getting 4 weeks.
Of course.
So holidays is gold. Yeah?
It's gold and stuff like that.
Yeah, so holidays gold in this industry.
Yeah.
Well. I was like, give or take, I'm gonna get £300-400. Even if I get like 5-6k rise, I'm gonna get £300-400. So what's extra a month?
Mate, I'm telling you,
is it worth my holidays?
It was a different, like, especially like coming from a retail background. You know, retail people, they work bank holidays and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for double pay stuff.
Not necessarily because I was as we wasn't getting double pay. I think because it was kind of like a sales based kind of retail, so it wasn't kind of like double pay. You had your hourly rate and stuff like that. As a store manager within the management team, there was no double pay, so we had to work bank holidays as well. And I was like, eventually when I'm working a bank holiday. So, and then now obviously when you're within the tech industry, like you got bank holidays off, you got your weekends off, and these are little things that's like, well, like this is the life. You enjoy it a bit more.
Like once you step away from that frontline jobs, man.
Those front.
Because the frontline, mashallah, there's a lot of hard work for little pay.
It's
rough life, man.
It's a rough life, man. I'm telling you. There's times when customers are trying to return things and stuff, like, I'm like, listen, you've gone over your 14 days, you've used it. And then I remember one time some guy he was like, you know, when people just talk. I was like, listen, mate, this uniform can come off. Like,
he was in threatening.
Yeah, no, he was like kind of just talking rubbish. I was like, listen, mate, Just because I'm wearing this uniform, don't mean you can disrespect me like this.
Yeah.
Like, me and you can go outside. You know what it was?
What you want to do?
What you want to do? Look at
I'm
a human being. Like, at the end of the day, you've used the device.
Yeah.
You've done it. You're not gonna get your money back. So
Yeah.
So it's like it was constantly all of those kind of things.
And you can't even say come back and speak to the manager because you're the manager.
You're the manager. Balls cut stuff. I used to do that when a customer comes in when I was a salesperson and they was like, I want to return it. You can't return it. And they were like, speak to the manager. Yep, let me get the manager for you. I don't need to deal with this.
Yeah. Take this over there.
Escalate it. But obviously the buck stops with you.
Yeah, nah. Oh.
So I was like, it's one of them ones, man. You're
You're
dealing with that. So now you go to an industry where you're not like, wallahi, it's very civilized, man. People, when you're on the outside looking in, you're thinking to yourself, like, how is it? Do I need to talk a certain way? Do I need to act a certain way? Do I need to dress a certain way? But once you're in it, it's, you act how you are. You talk as you are. You don't need to talk a certain way, act a certain way. Just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Just like anywhere else.
Yeah.
But do you think there is any, like specifically in the tech sector, is there any prejudices if you were from a certain background? Okay.
Do you know what? So? I wouldn't say so. I've not experienced it, to be honest with you, and I wouldn't say so. I'm not one of those people that looks at like as your color, your religion being a problem to you being able to get a role or do a job or anything like that. I don't look at it. I look at it as though what's written for you is written for you. At the end of the day, there's some people that will be like, sometimes you're not even in the industry, but you're complaining saying, I can't get a job because of my color, I can't get a job because of my religion. There can be certain aspects of that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't say you need to focus on that and focus your energy on that side of things. You just need to focus on yourself, doing your job, being the best that you can be, and upskilling yourself as much as possible, and then let everything else kind of fall into place. That's kind of the mindset I go with.
Well, that's very true. But then again, like you said, there's dark arts to interview. There's dark arts to a lot of things, man.
Yeah, there's definitely dark arts. Like I'll give you an example. Like when I was in retail, I was a assistant manager, and then there was a big store. I think it's like the store in Westfield. Like, that was like the biggest store, and then they wanted the assistant manager. So I went for the interview. I thought I'd done well with the interview. I didn't end up getting the job. So then they gave me some kind of scripted, like, I think you talk too much about sales, you didn't talk too much about people development and stuff like that. So I said, all right, it is what it is. The girl that got the job wasn't doing the job properly. She ended up leaving after 6 months. So the same area manager came back to me and said to me, yeah, Hamza, you know what? I think you're ready for that role. And I'm like, I said it, I stuck it with him straight away. I was like,
I'm ready for the role now.
I was like, Mark, what changed with it? Nothing changed.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the same thing. He was like, yeah, no, I think I've seen the growth in you and stuff like that. I was like, mate, nothing's changed, but it's still the same thing. I said to him, the girl didn't perform. So,
yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those things. Sometimes, like, within a lot of positions, people end up getting because they go to the pub per se. Yeah. To go have because they've got a relationship with that kind of person and stuff like that. Some people do get roles like that, but that's neither here nor there to me, to be honest with you.
Honest, that's what I mean. Even me, I'm like you, man. I don't focus on these things.
Yeah.
It's just that I see more and more people as in discussing these things now, and there's more and more conversation around these things. And once you start as in looking at it objectively, you go, you know what? Same situation now. Looking back at it. Did it have a tinge of like people having certain prejudices, like some interviews and stuff? Some people just being hostile for no reason. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, why was that? I wasn't that bad. Yeah. The interview wasn't that bad. My performance wasn't that bad. What was the hostility about that? But it's just nitpicking, isn't it?
No, it's nitpicking. Yeah. I know you people. You always look at kind of like what went wrong. Where could I've? You think to yourself, maybe I didn't get that job because of this. I didn't get that job because of that. But sometimes you drive yourself crazy thinking like that. You drive yourself crazy. Like I used to do that in the early stages when I first within the tech industry, when I first started going for interviews. I like, what did I go wrong? Like I remember school one, and I remember this interview. I went for an interview, and then the person was asking me, "What's more harder for you to test, iOS devices or Android devices?" So I thought this person's trying to catch me out here. I said they're both as difficult as each other. And then I didn't end up getting the job, and I went back to my notes. The question that the person asked me, I was like, well, that's where I went wrong. Android's more difficult because there's so many Android devices, there's so many manufacturers, there's so many, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think if you're prepared to the best of your ability and you felt like you've owned that interview and you don't get, then you don't get.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
To be honest, for me now, everything that I do in an interview is all practice. I'm just going there to practice. Because alhamdulillah, most of the times I go there now, I've already secured the job. I'm in a job right now. So I'm not fussed if I get a job or not. So I'm going there just to get practice.
Yeah, you're relaxed.
If I get it, alhamdulillah, by all means, I'm going to see and go, okay,
Yeah.
Was I even interested in this job or was I just getting practice out of it?
I remember the same time when I had that Google job, I had another interview lined up about 2 days after. So then that interview there, I went in so relaxed.
Yeah.
Literally just relaxed, like literally Nikki and all the handling, just busting conversation. You know, sometimes when you don't have a job, like that desperation kind of sometimes that agitation, you become a bit tight and stuff like that. Well, you know, when you've got a job, alhamdulillah, apart from that first time, each time I've went for an interview, I've had a job. So if everything kind of goes wrong, I've still got my other job to fall back on. So I think you're a bit more relaxed. But I think sometimes when you've been out of work and you're trying to force the situation and stuff like that, you might make a few errors and stuff like that. But I think it's to do with practice. Practice makes perfect, like I said.
Yeah. Well, so just practicing, to be honest, is like if you go for interview practices, then if you get the job, you get the job. Alhamdulillah, it's a bonus for me.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't, then at least I've got practice out of it.
Yeah.
But if you get like, don't get the role and you do really bad, at least you get feedback to say
100%.
You went wrong here, you went wrong there, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. And you can go, okay, you know what?
100%.
I'm gonna do that again.
But also, like within this industry, I think something that does help a lot is having those soft skills. So being able to kind of like to kind of, because you know when you're within the tech sector, you're working with like developers. I don't know, they're not the most easiest people to talk to, man.
Just spit it out.
Yeah, they can be a bit awkward. They're a bit what's the word? They're introverts.
Like in one of my previous organizations, they used to call us spectrum, so people on the spectrum.
Yeah,
basically like they got some tinge of autism with them. You're like, I'm telling you,
they
used to say no, you, not you, because you're normal. You're like us guys.
Yeah.
Because you can see that like a lot of them, they're so technically focused that I don't know if it's certain demographic of people gravitate towards the tech sector generally, introverts and people that kind of lack that social skill.
Yeah.
Because you're mostly working with machines and not interacting with people as much. Yeah.
They're not interacting. I'll give you the perfect example. I'm sure you must have experienced this. So I don't know what do you guys use for communication? Like, do you use Slack or? Okay,
Teams, cool. You name it, man.
You name it. So some of these people, so you know when you're communicating for them through those chat boxes. So like Ninko, the person over there, he's got a different personality to, like, when it comes to chat. When you see the guy face to face. Wallah, I'm telling you, the amount of times that I'm looking, I'm busting jokes with him on the channel. He's sitting across the desk with me, but Makala this shit, it's like
speak to a wall.
It's like speaking to a wall. It's just like one tone. Wallah, I'd be like, when I first got into this industry, I was shocked by these people, man.
Yeah, same here, wallah. Because I remember we used to have the same thing. We used to have like Skype or Teams, or it wasn't Teams, wasn't it? Skype for Business.
Yeah.
You're chatting. We're in the same room, systems team, infrastructure. I'm sitting 3 desks away from him. Yeah. He's messaging me instead of saying Hussein, blah blah blah. He's messaging me.
I went through that.
I look at him.
I went through that experience, bro.
And I said, yeah. He goes, just reply to my message. I said, reply to my. I'm new to the team, yeah. Okay, I reply to your message. What is going on?
Bro, I find that odd because obviously I'm coming from a sales background to speak to people. Yeah, so they'll message me. I'm like, bro, you're sitting 3 desks away from me. Yo, I'll pull up my chair next to you.
Yeah.
What is it?
And they used to get agitated.
They get agitated, like Nicky he starts shaking and stuff like that. Yeah. And then he's like, oh no, it wasn't something important. It's just wanted to ask you this. I'm like, and it took me a little while to figure it out.
Do you reckon you do that now?
What's that?
I do that now. My default is just to slack someone. But we haven't been in the office for how long?
Do you know what? For me, the thing that kind of helped me, each developer, whenever I go to a team, or whoever I'm working with, I'll realize what works best for them. So
Yeah.
if they prefer me to communicate via Slack, via the chat box, I communicate via the chat box. And then I'll call that me and you can have a conversation. Like I remember there was one American girl, she could communicate. So me and her would communicate like normal people.
Chat,
The guy next to her was a French guy, awkward. It's like an
just read it.
just reading the chat. So it's and they're all into Star Wars. Or what's it? Is it Star Wars?
Star Wars, yeah, all of this.
All those Star Wars, Star Trek, what house look at it?
Bro, I don't.
And they talk about it. I'm like, what? They're like, what? You're not into it? I feel like an alien. I'm like, nah, man.
No, I'm not into that.
I used to watch football when I was growing up, or something, other stuff. They're like, well, you never used to watch Star Wars and stuff. I go,
Yu-Gi-Oh and all of this.
I said, I've never watched them.
Stuff.
I'm the Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. I said, nah, I never used to watch that, man. So
Same here, man. To this day, I remember every team that I went to. It's like you can carbon copy these people and put them in another team. Same interest, same everything. So it's like you're always the odd one out. Yeah. So most of my conversations and most of my socializing used to happen with other teams. Like
same.
Marketing, finance.
Yeah.
Even caretakers, most of the time, like I'll be chilling with the caretakers because they're watching football. I'm talking about football.
Yeah.
Bantering, saying, "Oh, you're asking
different people."
Blah blah blah.
But even the people I used to get on with was the BAs, because their job is to communicate with people. The project managers, similar kind of thing. Again, you need to have good communication skills to do that. Designers as well, and not all developers are like that. We're casting them out as well. Being, but
I'm not. I'm just saying generally. I'm not just saying developers. I'm just saying generally in tech. You get DevOps engineers like that. You get like even you
get testers that are like that.
Technical project managers. Everyone's like that.
Everyone's like that, and
so you're like a bunch of like misfits that sit together and living happily.
And it's quiet, and it's literally you can hear a pin drop. And on the other side, you got the sales, you got the marketing team and stuff like chat. I'm like, oh, wallahi, meshani. It's like, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm in the library.
I'm in the library up in here. Like, you don't even want to say anything out loud. Like, yo, like you're talking quietly next to your person next to you, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
It's mad on that. But yeah, so would you say some of your successes you would attribute to having better soft skills than some other people?
I think my soft I think my soft skills, like those kind of soft skills, have definitely helped me, kind of, because where my like second company, the app business, we was essentially like a consultancy, and then we was going into another team, and then we're working with their developers. They're also designers and testers, so you have to collaborate with them. So you need to be able to kind of communicate with them. And there's been projects where teams have kind of bumped heads and stuff like that. And obviously, when the consultancy team's not working with the main development team, that project gets cancelled very quickly. Yeah. So you have to kind of be able to build that relationships with people to be able to interact with them. I think definitely it's helped me. But what I've also spotted within the industry is, say you've got two developers per se. You've got one very, very technical developer, that kind of introvert, that kind of like, you can't really say geeky, but that individual there, and you've got another one that's a bit more social, a bit more outspoken, that can communicate better. But the first developer is technically more gifted. It's always the second developer, the one that has the better soft skills, that kind of progresses more, that kind of becomes the head of engineering and moves into those kind of roles.
Okay.
That's one thing. Like sometimes I'll look at it and I'll be like, this guy's technically more gifted and technically more sound. So you don't necessarily need to be an expert within your field.
It's true. I think for a lot of them, they're kind of happy with just being really technical as well.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't feel, because I've seen those are the people that are in a company for like forever.
They don't move. Quasi, they don't go for another
10 years, 15 years. They're like, wow, you're still here. Like, yeah, I'm just, because it's just their makeup is like that.
Their bashal
They go to work, they do their technical stuff, they enjoy what they do, they come back home.
They're coding on the weekend, on a side project, watching Star Wars.
Yeah, watching Star Wars. IRC chats, on Slack channels, on people still on IRC chats, man. They used to sit there, you know.
What's IRC?
IRC chats back in the day. It's before my times. I just found out through him. This guy was always in the console, like terminal over there.
Terminal, yeah.
So I'm like, what commands you writing? And I looked at it, yeah, it's chatting to someone.
What, via terminal?
Yeah.
Right,
it's an old school
that's
thing.
up next.
mid-90s or something like that. That's what he told me.
Well, that's
What is that?
is that the developers?
The chat rooms.
Is that
These are like ISC chats?
Is that the MSN? Yeah.
Yeah. So this
That's
is like technical people's MSN.
Technical people's MSN with him, mashallah.
So he was enjoying himself there. I was like, do you know what? Do you, man? It was quite social for the demographic that he used to be in. So if he found someone that had the same interests as him, he would go off and talk about whatever he was interested in. It's just that with other people that didn't have the same interests as him, it's like, I don't really want to look at you.
Yeah. Nah, that's the problem that a lot of these very techie people have got. They don't see when they're kind of communicating things to non-tech people.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem.
They don't know how to kind of like just dumb it down essentially to be able to. They'll just go off into some deep technical analysis. Half the people don't know what's going on.
Yeah, this it might be because of this and that, and you know, this an API call that happens and you're like, easy. I understand you, but
the rest 90% of people don't understand.
To be honest, I'm understanding only 70% as well.
Yeah, I'm probably understanding 40%.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
this
project manager or this designer, she hasn't got a clue.
Yeah.
So you need to tell her.
So they just go, so what do I have to do? Nothing. It's just me. I'm gonna do it. I'm like, no problem.
Yeah. Let me be, man. Let me be.
Let me be, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I remember what's it called? One time, we was obviously going through those interviews and stuff like that. And then when I first got the first job, so you see the Nigerian guy that we used to watch his videos, and then who talk about sprint planning, he'll talk about retros, all of that kind of stuff. So I think what Hasokale used to be like. This used to be alien to us, so I know how like, wow, this is like a big thing. Yeah. So I remember the first day I started, after an hour they said, we got sprint planning. And then I was like, wow, this is the sprint planning I used to hear about in the videos.
Yeah.
This is it.
I'm doing it.
I'm inside the sprint planning session. So when I came back, I phoned up the guys. I'm like, listen, guess where I was at today? Sprint planning kilo. I was in that ceremony. Just telling them about it.
You're like, I'm a sprint planner, bro. Respect me.
I was in those ceremonies that we used to hear about over and over and over in the videos.
Yeah, so now we made it, subhanallah.
Or the stand-ups, when the guy would talk about stand-ups, I'm like, wow, this is the stand-up, the shaggy. So when you first knew everything that you used to listen to in the video, you kind of relate to it. So this is it. So this is the project manager. So this is that.
So when you're not in it, it sounds so foreign and so grand.
Bruv,
grand.
When you're not in it, it sounds like the biggest thing in the world.
What is this rubbish? Why do people make it so much more grander than what it actually is?
100%. It's.
I'm sure there's a word for it, but basically they blowing it up to be something that's.
But I feel as though because you're not in the industry,
maybe it's your
and like I said, there was three of us, and I feel Abdurrahman, he touched on it on his podcast. So that guy. That teacher, he said he couldn't get hold of him.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a relationship with the guy. I didn't really know the guy. So I was just piggybacking off them lot. So we never had that experience of somebody that's in the industry to tell us, okay, this is what you do in this situation, this is what you do in that situation. We're kind of figuring it out. The person I had was Abdurrahman. He's the guy that did the sprint planning. So he's like, I was telling him, bro, so what's this sprint planning thing? Because no, this is all it is. It's just this and this. So then obviously when I phoned them up, I was like, well, no, it's exactly how you said it, man. It's not a big thing.
Yeah. So because I remember Abdurrahman, he spoke about having a mentor and the importance of having a mentor. Did you have a mentor? Would you call like Mahmoud and Abdurrahman as they were your mentors, or?
I think they were kind of like no real mentor, to be honest with you. These guys were kind of like. Abdurrahman, obviously he got into the industry a little bit before me, so he's kind of the person that I was like asking questions to. But he went a completely different path to me. So he started memorizing the interview questions like Quranka, and then that's when I realized, like, when I was in the library, I was like, nah, man, I'm not gonna go this way. I'm gonna go through the internship way, try and find myself, work my way up. I said that side's gonna work for me. This way he's doing it, it's not gonna work for me. Of being able to memorize those. Like, I remember one of the questions was, what is agile? And I still remember it was such a scripted answer. It's like, agile is a conceptual methodology where a series of software is built in iteration. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, if I go for an interview, and I said that, they'll look me up straight away. Wallahi,
I think I've done, because in my last organization I did like an interview and we were hiring 20 developers or 25 or something like that. So we did like in the region of 80 interviews across the thing. Yeah, I personally did like at least 40, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the madness that I saw because of that was like, because we were hiring at junior level,
Yeah.
senior, mid, tech lead. Oof, some of the people lie. Some of the interviews, they had scripted answers. Like
I'm telling you, I could tell straight
where
away.
you getting that from, man?
Literally, it's a textbook. Like it's like memorizing the textbook, and I was like, wow, this is gonna take a long time to memorize all the descriptors. Yeah. And then obviously, what happens if the person tells you, okay, tell me a bit more about Agile? You don't know nothing more about Agile. You have the answer.
Answer again.
You answer again. It's a methodology. What kind of methodology?
Scripted methodology. But they say, oh, but there's a contradiction in the word because Agile, by its nature, it's not supposed to be a set principle. So, what do you say about that?
You're stuck, man. So that's when I thought, you know what? Like I remember, I was trying to memorize those questions and stuff like that. And then who was it? I think it was Mohamed. He goes to me, bro, buy a mirror, man. Say it in front of a mirror. So I sat in front of the mirror. I'm trying to memorize those questions. I said, okay, cool. Next thing, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said to me, record your voice and listen to it. Try and memorize it that way. I was like, nah, this is long, man. This way is not gonna work for me. I'm gonna try and use my sales skills or LinkedIn. So that's when I started contacting all those different recruiters. And I remember one time I inboxed a recruiter. I said to him, listen, I'm trying to get into this industry. I've got no experience, but this is the kind of experience I got. Nobody got back to me, nothing. And then I think about 2 years later, one of that same recruiter came back to me, offering me a decent paid job. And I was like, you get out of here, man. You didn't want to respond to me in my time of need.
Yeah, now you want to come to me.
Now you want to come to me. It's your time of need because you got...
That's why I remember all of the recruiters that did me dirty. Yeah, I make a mental note of them and I go, okay, if I hear that company's name again, if I see that person hitting me up...
Why? In what sense did they do you dirty?
Yeah, when you go for an interview or you give them your CV, no feedback, nothing, you chase them up and no calls, no email replies.
If one thing I've realised with recruiters, it's at the end of the day, it's a sales-based job, so they've got all of these
That's what I mean,
people. If they don't, a recruiter, if you've made it through to the next stage, that recruiter will ring your line up like there's no tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah, that's one thing I realised. At the beginning part, when I was first applying for jobs, I used to heat them up like, any update on the job? Nah, nothing yet. Any update? Nah. And I'm like, and obviously once you get a job, they're hunting you, then leaving you voicemails. Hamza, can you get back to me? Got important news for you. I was like, okay, so this is how it works then, yeah?
But I'm saying, when you've done a final stage with someone, you've done like an advanced stage with someone.
Yeah.
No,
they don't get back to you.
Even because usually the good recruiter will say, look, I'm trying to chase up the client is not getting back to me.
Yeah.
It's most likely a no.
Yeah.
But I'll try to get some feedback for you. Because usually you would want feedback.
Yeah. I've never had feedback from a recruiter, to be honest with you. Yeah. Never. I've just... The way I look at it is like...
It's not that... The thing is, I'm fussed about the feedback because I want to be improving in my interview process. The whole
but they don't. I don't think they give you constructive feedback. Have you ever received constructive feedback?
To certain things, yeah. Like they will say, oh, you didn't go into detail enough for certain things. Yeah. So you go, okay, so this is the level of detail I'll be looking at. Or they will say he went into too much detail. Like when he was explaining certain things, like he was explaining finer things, and to be honest, the audience was a bit more technical, or the audience wasn't that technical. So this kind of feedback is quite thingy. But now, alhamdulillah, because of that feedback now, I preempt by saying, look, how much detail do you want me to get into? Or the person would themselves say, oh, go into as much detail as possible. Then you go, okay.
You can tell between which because I've had experience with rubbish recruiters and good recruiters.
Yeah, that's
so the good recruiter will always tell you what kind of audience you're going to go into and what kind of things that they're looking for, and he will give you a heads up saying to you, like I remember the collective one, and he said to me, listen, you're gonna have a 2-hour interview. It's gonna be with the CTO and a product owner. They're gonna grill you. So make sure you know a lot about APIs and all of that kind of stuff, and be able to link all of that kind of stuff up together. They're gonna probably tell you to do a whiteboard exercise as well. So be prepared. Whatever you write, you can you can basically explain yourself from that point of view. So they give you that kind of knowledge. That's a good quality recruiter. But then some of them are like, nah, just go in.
Yeah, just go in. It's a good lad.
It's a good lad. Yeah, just be yourself.
You get on with them.
Yeah,
it's not helping me in any sense.
It's not helping you. Nick asking them kind of straight away. Who the one big question? You're like, well, like already what below there.
That's what I mean. Because what happens is now more and more I'm seeing that there's less literally experienced recruiters out there. So they just dial in numbers.
Yeah.
And getting people on the phone and trying to get interviews for them. So those kind of people I've sussed out, because I've done so many telephone interviews now. I'm like, okay.
And then they pass you on to the next recruiter, the manager recruiter. Yeah.
The account manager.
Yeah, the account manager.
Like
yeah.
Thinking, oh yeah, I've got a good relationship with the client. He's the one.
He's the one in the know that can give you the information.
You're not even the guy who want to speak to.
Yeah.
Sometimes what happens is, depending on what company you're working for, that's the person that's actually dealing with the client.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm bugging there, but let me just go. What happens? Subhanallah, that's mad. But yeah, craziness, man. Mashallah, we've been talking for quite a bit, man. I've told you time flies, man. It's already been an hour, 10 minutes.
I thought it was going to be a quick half an hour thing, man.
Yeah. You in a rush?
No. I'm good to go, man. I'm good to go.
You know, it's just final few questions, man. I just wanted to ask you, because you've got a lot of experience as a manager prior to this. And to be honest, managing is just a skill that is kind of the same in all aspects and all sectors, basically. Because you're managing people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, is that something that you want to get into in the future? Or is that something that you just want to stay away from after your bad experience?
Do you know what? I wouldn't necessarily say bad experience. I would say it's just... I think as a manager, you always have to be aware that your performance is always dependent on other people. That's the most important thing with being a manager. So your success is down to your team. Your failure is down to yourself and your team. But the failure is down to you. And the success is a collective thing from that point of view. But it can be mentally draining, especially within... I don't know how it is within the tech sector. Maybe I might transition into it. I thought about it because a lot of the time as a manager, one thing you've got to kind of look at is when you're managing people, you have to find out if something is a will or a skill issue. Yeah. So if somebody's got all the will and all the skill in the world, all the will to do something, you have to, and they're willing to be coached and developed, then that's fine. That's an ideal person. But if somebody has got the skill but doesn't have the will, those are the problem people to manage, because this person's capable of the job. They can do the job, but they just don't have the will to do it. So then those are the draining people. So you have to always kind of like constantly try and figure out ways of kind of psyching them up and kind of channeling into them, like trying to speak to them. Like I said, the example, if and you have to find out if somebody's going through things within their life. So if you've got your top performer and then your top performer suddenly kind of just drops off 1 month, you can't just say, have a go at them and say what's going on, sort yourself out. They could be having personal problems and stuff like that. So it's down to you to kind of maneuver that as a manager and then try and coach them. But if somebody just doesn't want to do the job, has got the skill to do it, it's not on. Then it comes to that performance managing somebody, putting them on. It's called a PIP, PIPs, performance improvement plans and stuff like that. Which is, you know, when you get put on that, it's a way of trying to work you out the system. Yeah. Giving you steps to improve. Okay, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. It's just a bit long.
Basically documenting.
It's just documenting, and when I've got enough evidence, send that off to HR. Yeah. So
that's like that's the initiation of your exit, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm starting to write about you now, officially.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think within the tech industry, I've come across a few instances where individuals aren't performing, but I feel as though you've got a lot more leeway. Does that make sense? When you're not performing within the tech industry compared to sales. Sales is cutthroat. Yeah, you're literally as good as your last month, and then that's it. You're off.
Literally.
You're
sack you within a month.
Not sack you within a month, but you feel the pressure. But within the tech industry, like I've seen so many. Perfect example: a developer has put a code into something. That code has ended up breaking production. There's no thing like, okay, cool, you're gonna go to a disciplinary because of that.
Shouldn't be though, to be honest.
You shouldn't be, exactly. But I'm just putting it into context from like compared to like how the pressures are.
Yeah.
Like chalk and cheese.
crazy. That's so like someone that hasn't hit their target, and someone that's literally cost your company money.
And yeah, we'll probably have like a session if something happens in product, like something called 5 whys, like, and they'll try and work out why did this happen. Okay, next step, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And then look at how to stop that from happening again, and that's it.
Build a process around it.
Yeah, put a process around it.
Yeah. Damn, it's crazy.
What about you? You said you're looking to become a DevOps manager or something like that.
No, to be honest, my thing is, it's way more difficult to manage people than it is to manage technology. So I'd rather be managing technology as long as I can.
Agreed.
And to a really high level as I can to get the most monetary compensation.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel
that's my goal.
Yeah.
I know as soon as human gets into the equation, human is always at weakest link. Yeah. So now I personally don't have the patience. I don't know if I'm going to grow into a manager, but I don't think I'm a good manager to begin with, because I'll lose patience with someone that's not.
Yeah. I'll be honest. The stage I'm in my life, I don't want to manage anybody. I just want to come in, do my job. My performance is dependent on me. And like you said, when you're doing those kind of management roles, it's like there's no real kind of steps, like, but you can always get more technical, pick up more technologies and stuff like that. And like you said, that's how you go up the ladder a bit faster.
There's always like a ceiling to that as well.
Yeah, 100%.
There's only so much technicality that's required. Then the next levels are the leading of projects, leading of people, leading of teams. Yeah,
but I feel like
I don't mind being senior or team lead and things of that nature, where it's kind of small. But then again, that's if you're gonna be like, let's say, a CTO or engineering manager, you build your own teams. So then it's your responsibility to get the kind of talent and that kind of people that you want to work with.
Yeah.
The people you're able to coach and the people that are able to perform in your team, that you're going to be hiring those people.
Yeah.
But I've been in enough teams and seen enough carnage to know that life is not always hunky-dory. You go into inherited teams, there's mess in there. There's people that are just...
There's personality clashes. Yeah, anti-establishment, 100%.
You're the person that gets the brunt force of that, man.
100%. You're trying to win allies, especially when you go into a new team. You're trying to win. I remember like when I would always try to manage a new team, I would look at like the big personalities within that team, and then I'll try and get that person to become my ally within that team. It's all very tactical.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to actually start playing chess.
It's chess. I'm telling you, it's chess. You get that individual there. You know that person's kind of like the leader within that team. Okay, I'll get this person on side. Get that person on side. Before you know it, you've got the whole team on side.
Yeah. So all you need is a couple of influences.
Yeah, that's what you call them.
You influence the rest of the team.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what the social media is now all about now.
Yeah.
Get influencers that have all of the eyeballs on them. Promote your products through them, and then just influence the rest of the people to buy your products. So
pretty much you're pretty much doing the same thing, and then you build that rapport with with those influencers, and then you go from there. So it's
That's crazy, man. It's crazy, bro. That's all from me, man. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm good, inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Khair for coming on, man. Allah barik feek. MashaAllah, it was good having a chat, man. It was good having a chat. And good to actually, inshallah, we keep it. Obviously, we will be in touch because I know you personally. The thing is, we will keep in touch with your journey, inshallah, and hopefully you can come back and let us know what your next project is.
Yeah,
what do you think is after Google? Do you want to try and go for a perm role within this? Because you said it's 1 year contract. Right?
Yeah, it's a 1 year contract. I don't know, to be honest with you. Contract finishes in August, so it depends how the market's going to be. To be honest with you, I might. If they extend it for another year, because usually they can only extend it up to 2 years, so they don't give out kind of like permanent roles like that. So if it gets extended, it gets extended. If it doesn't, I'll probably know by May time. I'll hit up the recruiter to tell him to find out if my contract's getting extended or not. If not, then
I don't think we've asked you, what do you actually do at Google?
So essentially, I'm working on so it's called Google Play Protect. So yeah, so you know, in the Play Store, you've got a setting that says GPP. So it basically, it's like anti-malware and all that kind of stuff, so viruses and stuff like that. Okay. So it picks up if there's an application installed in your device that has a virus and stuff like that. So it's picking it up, and different kind of like, you know, sometimes you get those apps that are trying to fish for your data and stuff like that, and take information and all that kind of stuff. So the application I'm working on for the Play Store, that's the app that kind of deals with all of that stuff.
So it's part of the Play Store itself.
It's part of the Play Store itself. So when you go into Play Store where you search for your apps, if you hit we call it the hamburger menu. So when you hit that menu and then it's got Play Protect there, so then you kind of toggle on things and it's always running in the background. So it's always if you've got it on, it's always detecting new apps that you've installed that have got, and it's always searching for viruses and stuff like that. So we're currently working on that project at this present moment in time, and where there's going to be a new project I've just started now that's going to be migrating that to a newer version moving forward. So it's an interesting project from that point of view.
Very interesting. Like you're working on something that a lot of like billions of users use every day, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'm an Android user and I didn't know that this existed. That it's kind of just searching, like constantly searching in the background, picking up apps and security and all of that kind of stuff.
That's good, man. I have to say that I've recently moved to Apple from Android, so I won't be benefiting from your work, but I'm pretty sure, mashallah, you're doing good work, man.
Yeah.
Jazakallah khair.
Nah, no problem, inshallah.
Inshallah, we meet some other time, bi'idhnillah ta'ala.
Definitely.
Jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining us, inshallah. Please do share with anyone that you feel like will benefit from this conversation, and we'll meet next week, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.